All right, we have learned about zero and negative exponents, and so this video is going to be looking at some examples about how to simplify expressions with zero and negative exponents. Okay, now what's important to remember, this is a big deal with exponent or expressions that have exponents in them. This is one of the rules somebody made it somewhere along the way, and this is how you know something is simplified. There can be no negative exponents in an answer. If you have a negative exponent in an answer, it is not simplified all the way. You have to fix the negative exponents, okay? Now, what I want you to do, I want you to take a few minutes, pause the video, and I want you to try these. See how these would look. Use your rules. Use what you know about negative exponents, zero exponents. Try to fix these, and then turn the video back on, and I'll talk through them. So try those 4, then check your work. Okay, here's the answers. Now, something about these expressions with exponents, there are going to be many ways to get to the right answer. So you may have done it a little differently than I did. You should still end up with the same answer. First one, I noticed a power to a power, so I multiplied those powers, -3 times -1. You didn't have to show that. I just showed it so you had something to look at. -3 times -1 is 3. 5 to the 3rd power is 125. Next, I was multiplying with the same base, so I added the exponent. We haven't been showing that step. That's okay. 5 plus -5 is 0. Notice the -3 is in parentheses. That was my base. That's important. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Next situation, I notice I'm dividing with the same base. When you're dividing with the same base, you subtract. So I did -2 minus 2, so I get 6 to the -4. That's a negative exponent, so I have to fix it. So I did the reciprocal and got 1 over 6 to the 4th, which is 1 over 1296. The third one, I had a product to a power, so I took each factor and raised it to that power. So I did 2 cubed, x cubed, and y to the -5 cubed. 2 cubed is 8, x cubed stays the way it is. Here I have a power to a power. -5 times 3 is -15. Now, this right here is not simplified. I cannot have a negative exponent. So, this is over 1, right? And the reciprocal with y to the -15th would move it to the denominator. So it moved to the denominator, it swapped places, and it became a positive exponent. So 8x cubed is still in the numerator. Y to the -15th moves to the denominator and becomes y to the +15. Now let's talk about this next one together. It's got lots going on. I see x's in the numerator, x's in the denominator, y's in both. I see numbers. I see a negative exponent. I got a lot going on. There's several things we could do here. I'm just going to talk you through sort of how I would handle this. First thing I see is this product to the -2. I'm going to fix that -2 by taking the reciprocal and moving that to the denominator. So I'm going to end up with y to the 5th on top in the numerator. I'm going to have 2x squared since I took care of my negative exponent. And then I've still got -4x squared, y squared down here. Okay? Now, this is a product to a power. So I can fix that. I've got y to the 5th. That would become what? 2 squared is 4, x squared. And then I still haven't done anything with this yet. Y to the 5th, still there. Now, I have 4 times -4. All this is just flat multiplication, so I can multiply my numbers. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. I have x squared times x squared. That's multiplying with the same base. I'm going to add my exponents. I get x to the 4th, and then y squared is still tagging along. Now I notice I have y to the 5th over y squared, dividing with the same base. What do I do to the exponents? 5 minus 2 is 3. So my final answer, I get y cubed over negative 16 x to the 4th. I don't have any negative exponents. I've only got y's in one spot, x's in one spot. I'm done. These are two pretty similar. They're probably a little easier even than that last one we just did. So I want you to pause the video, try these two, then check your work. Okay, first one. This is a product to a power. So I raised each factor to the power. 3 cubed, x to the negative 2 cubed, y squared cubed. Then I started cleaning it up. 3 cubed is 27. Power to a power, negative 2 times 3, I get negative 6. Power to a power, 2 times 3, I get y to the 6th. Everything's good here except this x to the negative 6. I cannot have a negative exponent. Reciprocal, instead of being in the numerator, it's got to move to the denominator. So I move it over the fraction bar, which was here, it just wasn't written. It becomes that. So I end up with 27y to the 6th over x to the 6th. Now this last one, 4x to the negative 2y to the 4th over 8xy to the 6th. I notice I've got numbers in the numerator and denominator, I've got x's in the numerator and denominator, and y's. So I split it up. I think this makes it a little easier to see. I've got 4 over 8, that's my numbers. I've got x to the negative 2 over x, and I have y to the 4th over y to the 6th. All of that's multiplied because there's multiplication symbols in there that we don't write. 4/8 is 1/2. Here, this is x to the negative 2 over x. There's a little 1 there, right? So when I subtract, negative 2 minus 1 gives me x to the negative 3. Here, 4 minus 6, I get y to the negative 2. My 1/2 is fine, but I've got to fix these negative exponents. So x to the negative 3 is 1 over x cubed. Y to the negative 2 is 1 over y squared. I multiply straight across. Numerators, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 times x cubed times y squared is 2x cubed y squared. So these are examples of some of the problems you're going to be seeing for practice tomorrow. If you have any questions, write them here, and I will see you in class.